Now, the term legendary gets tossed around a lot over the past few decades.
Legend. Wait for it. And I hope you're not lactose intolerant because the second half of that word is dairy.
Even in the marketing of the SM58, that word is used. But is it? And since the answer is yes, spoiler alert, we have to ask why. I can imagine all the comments on this video are going to be totally sane and not unhinged whatsoever. Now, at its core, it's basically just a handheld mic, most commonly used in live situations and recording, especially for particularly loud instruments, i.e. drums. And yes, I'm going to include the SM57 in here as well, and that's because they are the same microphone. And no, that difference is literally just the different grills between the mics. Everything else is the same. Now, there is plenty proof of this, including this video from a Shure employee sharing the history of the SM58. But despite how much penetration in the industry this mic has, it's still just a handheld microphone and a rather unremarkable one as well. So what gives? Well, there's several reasons. Now, before this microphone, there was a standard for live music, and shockingly, it was a Shure product as well. The 55 series, in fact. But while this mic was iconic, it also had some drawbacks. Most notably was feedback. This was the most limiting factor for a lot of microphones before the SM58 became legendary. You couldn't turn it up to 11.
These go to 11.
If it was too loud, it would become a mess of sound and feedback. Also, it was miserable to handle. This was a big deal as performers like Elvis were known for cradling the microphone. The live sound engineers would cringe every time it happened. There was zero shock absorption. Not to mention, the OG55 was poppy as all hell. So while it was the standard for all live sound, there was still room for improvement. But in the beginning, Shure wasn't really looking to improve on that. And that is because, well, the SM57 and 58 were originally intended for television and broadcast studios, and this matte gray finish was for that very reason, so the microphone wouldn't be distracting when it's under the lights, unlike the 565 Unisphere, which was shiny chrome meant for public address. You know, kind of like Woodstock. Public address. But there was another issue with the Unisphere, and that was the switch that was on it. Sure, you could rig it up to not be accidentally thrown in the middle of a set, but if you have 30 of them and you're setting up for a concert, maybe it's not the best use of your time to be rigging them up right before the show. So live sound engineers started to look at the SM58 as its replacement. And this move actually saved the SM58. Because as of 1970, Shure was only selling 1 to 2 of these per day worldwide. And it was actually a salesperson in Vegas who pitched letting him sell it to the Vegas shows so they could get louder. And that's what happened. The better off-axis rejection and feedback rejection made it a hit. And just like that, the SM58 went from a struggling line of microphones to the most famous and widely sold vocal microphone ever. And while the silhouette of the 55 series was instantly recognizable, this was also gaining steam as well. You see, this end-firing microphone was a bit of a novelty at first, but as it was intended to benefit broadcast, it also benefited live music. You didn't have a massive microphone hiding the face of the performer, much to the delight of photographers. And bands, they also laid into the ability to just get louder. The Who and Deep Purple made it their mission to blow your eardrums out. Zeppelin and AC/DC also followed suit. The rock concert era was kicking off. And as companies worked to make live sound, well, sound better, audio engineers were finding ways to push it to the limits. And this was part of that iconic status that was leading to the legendary title. This microphone was ushering in a whole new era, an era that would be defining a generation, especially if you were a metalhead. And all of a sudden, you had an industry that was before the SM58 and after the SM58. And sure, there's a lot of people that are going to be like, well, you're just famous because you're first to market. That doesn't make you legendary. And you're right, sometimes. But consider this. That iconic look, the handheld microphone, all of this originates from Shure. I mean, the SM58 wasn't the first to rock the look, but it was the most impactful. But also, remember, Shure didn't luck out with a funky design that people just seem to like. Back when the Unidyne 3 was being developed, it was cutting-edge technology. And Shure did that. And for the longest time, it was Shure as an option, or something that wasn't as good. And even as more competitors have launched their own handheld dynamics, very few changes have been introduced that are anything but cosmetic. That original design from 60 years ago is still the design most copied. And here we come down to the crux of it all. And that's the legendary sound. And sure, the sound isn't going to blow you away on its own, but initially it wasn't just about the sound. It was more about all the other things we've already discussed. But Shure also did something else with this that did stand out. Remember, it was developed with TV and broadcast in mind, so voices. This is where the iconic frequency response comes from, not intended to do anything more than to let a voice cut through. And it would seem that's what made it so appealing on stage as well. A natural roll-off in the low end, flat mids relatively, and the vocal range boosted. Plenty of room for the live sound engineers to work with, and a mic with a great starting point for live sound. Remember, no microphone is ever used without some sort of treatment on it, whether it be EQ or compression. And it kind of all comes down to this. This microphone is still available. This microphone is still favored among professionals. Since the 1960s, this mic has owned the live sound industry. And for anyone out there moaning about cheaper mics being better, you have to remember something. The live sound industry, especially over the last couple decades, isn't anywhere near as profitable as it once was. Sure, the Taylor Swifts of this world make it look like it is, but for every Taylor Swift, there are thousands of touring bands just trying to eat. And every one of them are also rocking this microphone. If this industry could exist on cheaper microphones, it would gladly do so, especially over the last 20 years. But that's just not happening. That should tell you something. And again, while $100 might be a lot for some people, this microphone started selling for $81 in 1966. Now, to give you an idea, that translates to over $800 in today's money. But instead of just raising the price, they actually dropped it, or rather, just never raised the price of it. Now, this microphone sells for $110, only $31 more expensive than when it launched 60 years ago. I'd say that's relatively decently priced if you ask me. And yes, I do know there's going to be some fun debate in the comments, so let me know. If you're not Team SM58, which microphone are you rocking?